The Beverly Hills Hotel's exclusive Polo Lounge fell silent as Paris Hilton leaned back in her chair, her diamond earrings catching the afternoon light. The blonde heiress, now 43, had just been asked about Kim Kardashian's latest billion-dollar business deal. Her response would ignite a firestorm that would consume Hollywood's most famous friendship-turned-rivalry. "Kim," Paris laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "Let me tell you about Kim Kardashian. She was my assistant, my closet organizer. She learned everything from watching me. Everything." The reporter's eyes widened as Paris continued, her voice dripping with condescension. "The sex tape, the reality show, the business empire, it's all a carbon copy of my playbook. She didn't create anything. She stole it." What Paris didn't know was that Kim Kardashian was watching this interview live from her Hidden Hills mansion. And in a temperature-controlled safe in her home office sat a small digital recorder from 2003, a device that contained a conversation that would destroy Paris Hilton's carefully constructed narrative and reveal the shocking truth about who really orchestrated the downfall of America's original reality TV princess. Kim's perfectly manicured fingers trembled slightly as she reached for her phone. 20 years. She had kept that recording for 20 years, never knowing if she would need it. Now, as Paris attempted to rewrite history and diminish her achievements, Kim knew the time had finally come. The world was about to learn what really happened in 2003 and why Paris Hilton's empire crumbled just as Kim Kardashian's began to rise. Before we dive into this explosive revelation that changed Hollywood forever, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Comment below if you think Kim really stole Paris's blueprint, or if there's more to this story than meets the eye. The story of Kim and Paris begins in 2003, when a 23-year-old Kim Kardashian worked as a stylist and personal organizer for the already famous Paris Hilton. Paris was at the height of her fame. The Simple Life was a massive hit. Her catchphrase, "That's hot," was everywhere, and she had essentially invented the concept of being famous for being famous. Kim, whose father Robert Kardashian had been O.J. Simpson's lawyer, came from a well-connected family, but was far from famous herself. She spent her days organizing Paris's massive closet, coordinating outfits, and occasionally appearing in the background of paparazzi photos as Paris's less glamorous friend. "I was grateful for the job," Kim would later tell friends. Paris was the most famous person in the world at that time. "Just being around her, I learned so much about media, branding, and public perception." But according to multiple sources who worked with both women during this period, the relationship was far from the mentorship Paris now claimed it to be. Paris treated Kim like hired help. Recall the former publicist who requested anonymity. She would make Kim carry her bags, fetch her drinks, and even made her clean up after Tinkerbell, Paris's chihuahua. It was degrading. The power dynamic was clear. Paris was the star, and Kim was invisible. But what nobody knew at the time was that Kim was keeping detailed notes about everything she observed. Her journal from that period, which she still possesses, contains hundreds of pages analyzing Paris's media strategies, business decisions, and the machinery behind her fame. The turning point came in late 2003. Paris had just signed a massive perfume deal and was planning to launch a chain of nightclubs bearing her name. At the same time, she was secretly negotiating with several TV networks about new reality show concepts. Kim, as her assistant, was privy to all these negotiations. It was during this period that the infamous recording was made. But to understand its significance, we need to understand what was happening behind the scenes in Paris's camp. Rick Salomon, Paris's on and off boyfriend, had been shopping around a private video of him with Paris. Paris's team was in crisis mode, trying to prevent its release while simultaneously realizing that the controversy, if handled correctly, could actually boost Paris's fame. The strategy sessions were intense and often ugly. Paris's manager at the time, Jason Moore, was incredibly manipulative, revealed a former assistant. He saw the tape as an opportunity. He literally said, "Controversy creates cash." But he needed someone to blame if the plan backfired. This is where the story takes its first dark turn. According to multiple sources, Moore approached Kim with a proposition. He wanted her to leak strategic information about the tape's existence to certain gossip bloggers, making it seem like the leak came from within Paris's inner circle, but not from Paris herself. Kim would be paid $50,000 for her role. Kim refused. But she did something even smarter. She recorded the conversation. The November 15th, 2003 recording, which Kim has kept in a safe deposit box for 2 decades, captures the following exchange. More. Kim, you understand Paris trusts you. That's why this needs to come from you. Kim, you want me to destroy my reputation to help Paris? More. Your reputation? Come on, Kim. You're a closet organizer. This is your chance to make real money. Besides, Paris is getting tired of you hanging around. This way, when she fires you, at least you'll have something to show for it. Kim, she's going to fire me? More. Oh, honey, you didn't think this was permanent, did you? Paris goes through assistants like she goes through boyfriends. But right now, she needs this tape story to break in a specific way. You help us, you get paid, everyone wins. The recording continues for another 20 minutes, with more outlining an elaborate plan to use Kim as a scapegoat while orchestrating the tape's release for maximum publicity. He even detailed how they would make it look like Kim had betrayed Paris, ensuring she could never work in Hollywood again. But Kim didn't take the bait. Instead, she quietly began planning her exit strategy. She started her own closet organizing business, began networking with other celebrity clients, and most importantly, she kept recording conversations. 3 months later, in February 2004, Kim was indeed fired by Paris. The official reason was budget cuts, but those close to the situation knew better. Paris had been convinced by her management team that Kim was becoming too familiar, too visible in paparazzi photos. The firing was brutal, recalled a mutual friend. Paris did it by text message. After everything Kim had done for her, she couldn't even call. The text just said, "Don't come tomorrow. I'll have someone pack your things." What happened next has become Hollywood legend, but the real story has never been told until now. Kim, hurt and humiliated, threw herself into building her own career. She worked as a stylist for other celebrities, including Brandy and Lindsay Lohan. She opened a boutique clothing store with her sisters, and she began developing an idea for a reality show about her family. Meanwhile, Paris's sex tape was released, just as her manager had planned. It created massive publicity, but it also began to damage her brand. Corporate sponsors pulled out. Her clean-cut image was tarnished. The nightclub deals fell through, and slowly but surely, Paris Hilton's empire began to crack. During this time, Kim made another recording. This one was from a December 2006 lunch meeting with Ryan Seacrest, where she pitched the idea for keeping up with the Kardashians. But what makes this recording explosive is what Kim revealed about Paris. Kim, I learned everything about reality TV from working with Paris. But I also learned what not to do. Seacrest, what do you mean? Kim, Paris thought fame was the end goal. But fame is just a tool. The real goal is building something lasting. Paris let her team convince her that controversy was good for business. But I watched it destroy her deals, one by one. Seacrest, you sound like you have inside knowledge. Kim, I have recordings, Ryan. Conversations where her team planned to use me as a fall guy for the tape leak, where they laughed about destroying my reputation to save hers. I've never released them because I'm not vindictive, but if anyone ever questions how I built my empire, I have proof that I did it by learning from others' mistakes, not by copying their playbook. This recording reveals something crucial. Kim had evidence of Paris's team's manipulation from the very beginning, but she chose to build her own empire rather than destroy Paris's. As 2007 began, the paths of the former friends diverged dramatically. Keeping Up with the Kardashians premiered to modest ratings but grew into a cultural phenomenon. Kim's calculated approach to fame, partnering with legitimate businesses, maintaining control over her image, and most importantly, keeping her family close, stood in stark contrast to Paris's increasingly chaotic public persona. But the real genius of Kim's strategy became apparent in how she handled her own sex tape scandal in 2007. When the tape with Ray J surfaced, Kim didn't follow Paris's playbook of pretending to be victimized while secretly profiting. Instead, she took legal action, gained control of the narrative, and used the attention to drive viewers to her new reality show. Kim turned a potential career-ending scandal into a launching pad, said a Hollywood publicist. She took the same situation that had started Paris's decline and transformed it into the foundation of a billion-dollar empire. That's not copying, that's evolution. By 2009, the power dynamic had completely shifted. Kim Kardashian was becoming a household name, while Paris Hilton was struggling to remain relevant. Paris began making snippy comments in interviews, calling Kim's fame trash and claiming she had created a monster. The feud simmered for years, with both women occasionally taking veiled shots at each other in the press. But it wasn't until 2011 that Paris made her most cutting remark. In an interview with Good Morning America, she said, "I created Kim Kardashian. Her whole family owes me career. I literally gave her a career, and I don't know where she would be without me." Kim's response was characteristically measured. She thanked Paris for the opportunities, but noted that she had built her success through hard work and smart business decisions. Privately, however, Kim was seething. She had kept quiet about the 2003 recording, about Paris's team's attempt to destroy her, about everything. But Paris's continued attempts to diminish her achievements were pushing her toward revelation. The situation escalated over the years. As Kim's empire grew, including her shapewear line schemes, her cosmetics company, and various other ventures, Paris's attempts to reclaim relevance became increasingly desperate. She launched a podcast, tried to revive The Simple Life, and even attempted to rebrand as a DJ. Each effort was met with comparisons to Kim's success. In 2018, Paris made another inflammatory statement on a British talk show. "I'm happy for Kim's success, but let's be honest, she copied my entire blueprint. The reality show, the perfume, the business ventures. She watched me do it all first, and then just repeated it." This time, Kim's response was different. She posted a cryptic message on Instagram. "Some people teach you what to do. Others teach you what not to do. I'm grateful for both kinds of teachers." The subtext was clear to those who knew the history, but the full story remained hidden, locked away in Kim's safe along with those explosive recordings from 2003 and 2006. Fast forward to the present day, to that fateful afternoon at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Paris, perhaps emboldened by the recent success of her documentary, This is Paris, had decided to relitigate the past. Her comments about Kim being a closet organizer who stole everything were her harshest yet. But this time, something was different. Kim Kardashian was no longer the struggling stylist who needed to protect her nascent career. She was a billionaire businesswoman with nothing left to prove. And she had finally had enough. Within hours of Paris's interview airing, Kim made a decision that would send shockwaves through Hollywood. She called her lawyer, Laura Wasser, and gave her permission to release the recordings. "I've protected Paris's reputation for 20 years, Kim told her inner circle. "I've let her tell her version of history while I stayed quiet. But I won't let her erase my accomplishments anymore. The truth needs to come out." The first recording to leak was the November 2003 conversation with Jason Moore. TMZ had it within hours, and the explosion was immediate. The audio clearly showed Paris's team attempting to manipulate and destroy Kim, planning to use her as a scapegoat for their publicity schemes. Hollywood insiders who had always wondered about the real story behind Kim and Paris's split finally had their answer. But the revelations were just beginning. The second recording, Kim's 2006 conversation with Ryan Seacrest, provided crucial context. It showed that Kim had evidence of Paris's team's manipulation all along, but had chosen to build her own success rather than destroy her former employer. But it was the third recording that truly changed everything. This one, from January 2004, captured a conversation between Paris herself and her manager. "Paris, is Kim gone yet?" "More. She'll be out by tomorrow. I've made sure she won't be able to work with anyone significant in this town." "Paris, good. She was getting too comfortable. Did you see those paparazzi photos where she's almost as prominent as me? That's not acceptable." "More, don't worry. After what we're planning, she'll be radioactive. No one will want to hire someone who betrayed Paris Hilton." "Paris, perfect. And she has no idea?" "More, none. She actually thinks you're friends." "Paris," laughing, "friends? She organizes my closet. That's like saying I'm friends with my housekeeper." The recording was devastating. It showed Paris not as a victim of Kim's supposed copying, but as an active participant in a plan to destroy her assistant's future career. The public reaction was swift and brutal. #TeamKim began trending worldwide. Paris's carefully crafted image as the original influencer who had been wronged crumbled overnight. Celebrities who had worked with both women began speaking out, confirming Kim's version of events. "I always wondered why Kim was so determined to maintain control of her image and business," tweeted Khloe Kardashian. "Now I understand. She saw firsthand what happens when you let others control your narrative. Paris initially tried to deny the recording's authenticity, but voice analysis quickly confirmed they were genuine. Her team scrambled to control the damage, but it was too late. The narrative had shifted completely. In a desperate move, Paris released a statement claiming the recordings were taken out of context and that she had always supported Kim's success. But the damage was done. The very empire Paris claimed Kim had copied was revealed to be built on manipulation and cruelty. The most damning revelation came from an unexpected source. Rick Salomon, Paris's ex-boyfriend, released his own statement. "I can confirm that Paris's team orchestrated the release of our private tape for publicity. They tried to involve Kim in their scheme, planning to blame her when things went wrong. Kim refused and was fired for it. She's kept quiet all these years while Paris played the victim. The real victim was Kim." As the scandal unfolded, business publications began analyzing the two women's different approaches to fame and fortune. Forbes published a scathing article titled "The Kardashian Method: How Kim Built What Paris Couldn't." The article noted that while Paris had relied on controversy and maintained a party girl image, Kim had strategically built a business empire based on accessibility and authenticity. Where Paris had treated those around her as disposable, Kim had elevated her entire family. Where Paris had let others control her narrative, Kim had maintained iron control over her image and business decisions. The recordings reveal something profound, the article concluded. Kim Kardashian didn't steal Paris Hilton's playbook. She rewrote it entirely, learning from Paris's mistakes to build something far more substantial and lasting. The final blow came when several of Paris's former employees came forward with their own stories of mistreatment and manipulation. A pattern emerged of a young woman who had been given everything but appreciated nothing, who had treated those around her as stepping stones rather than collaborators. Kim's response to the chaos was characteristically strategic. She released a single statement. "I've held on to these recordings for 20 years, not out of malice, but as a reminder of where I came from and why I've built my businesses the way I have. I learned valuable lessons during my time with Paris, both what to do and what not to do. I wish her no ill will, but I will no longer allow anyone to diminish my accomplishments or erase the hard work my family and I have put in to build our success. The truth, as they say, sets you free." The aftermath was swift. Paris's recent business ventures began experiencing boycotts. Her podcast numbers plummeted. Brands distanced themselves from her. Meanwhile, Kim's businesses saw a surge in support, with schemes reporting record sales in the week following the revelations. Industry insiders began re-evaluating the entire narrative of 2000's celebrity culture. "We always saw Paris as the innovator and Kim as the imitator," said one veteran publicist. But these recordings show that Kim was the one studying the game, learning its rules, and figuring out how to play it better. Paris was just riding the wave of inherited privilege. The psychological impact on Paris was evident. She canceled several scheduled appearances and retreated from public view. Sources close to her reported that she was devastated by the revelations and couldn't understand why Kim had chosen to release the recordings now. But for those who had followed the feud closely, the timing made perfect sense. Paris had spent years trying to claim credit for Kim's success, diminishing her achievements and reducing her to a closet organizer who got lucky. The Beverly Hills Hotel interview was simply the final straw. As the dust settled, cultural commentators began examining what the scandal revealed about fame, power, and the treatment of women in the entertainment industry. Many noted that while Paris had been born into privilege and treated it carelessly, Kim had built her empire through strategic thinking and hard work. "This isn't just about two celebrities feuding," wrote one columnist. "It's about two different philosophies of success." Paris believed fame was an entitlement. Kim understood it was a business. The recordings show that from the very beginning, Kim was thinking 10 steps ahead. The legal implications were also significant. Several lawyers suggested that Kim might have grounds for a defamation suit based on Paris's years of false statements about their relationship. However, Kim's team indicated she had no interest in pursuing legal action. "Kim has already won," a source close to the family said. "She's proven her point. She built her empire not by copying Paris, but by learning from Paris's mistakes." The recordings were never about revenge. They were about setting the record straight. The scandal also prompted a re-evaluation of the early 2000s celebrity culture. Many began questioning how many other assistants and employees had been mistreated by their famous bosses, and how many had stories they'd never told. Kim Kardashian, keeping those recordings for 20 years shows incredible foresight, said a Hollywood historian. She knew that someday she might need to prove her truth. It's a level of strategic thinking that explains why she's a billionaire and Paris is not. As the story dominated headlines for weeks, one thing became clear. The narrative of Kim Kardashian as Paris Hilton's copycat was dead. In its place emerged a far more complex story of a young woman who had observed, learned, and ultimately transcended her teacher. The final irony was perhaps the most poignant. Paris had spent years claiming she created Kim Kardashian. In a way, she was right, but not in the way she intended. By showing Kim how not to handle fame, how not to treat people, and how not to build a lasting empire, Paris had indeed created Kim Kardashian. She had created her own replacement. Today, Kim Kardashian's empire continues to grow, built on the principles she developed while watching Paris Hilton's rise and fall. She treats her employees well, maintains control of her narrative, and has turned her family into a billion-dollar brand. Meanwhile, Paris Hilton's attempts to reclaim relevance continue to falter, forever overshadowed by the assistant she once dismissed as just a closet organizer. The 2003 recording that changed everything serves as a reminder that in Hollywood, as in life, the truth has a way of surfacing. And sometimes, the person you step on while climbing the ladder of success might just be keeping receipts. As Kim herself posted on Instagram following the revelations, "For 20 years, I've let my work speak for itself. But when someone tries to rewrite history, sometimes you have to show the receipts. Thank you to everyone who has supported my journey. The best revenge is massive success." The post received over 20 million likes in 24 hours, making it one of the most liked posts in Instagram history. Paris Hilton has not posted on social media since. If this explosive revelation shocked you, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more untold Hollywood stories. Leave a comment below. Do you think Kim was right to finally release the recordings? And remember, in the age of smartphones and cloud storage, always be careful how you treat people. You never know who might be keeping receipts.